Hi guys, welcome to Sales Training Bajillion and One. We are so happy to do these and so happy to have those of you that watch. And today's is going to be a little convoluted and hopefully it's still going to make some sense. There's an old phrase I was taught a long time ago and it was called running traps. What does running traps mean? Running traps is going back to the old days of trapper. Think the mountain man, the big burly guy, his hunters run around, and it's the big ugly guy that looks like a fuzzy yeti. So we're going to take our little stick man and we're going to put fuzz on him, and he's kind of grumpy, and he wears a big ugly hat, and he's got all the mountains, and he's covering the mountains and all the little trees and everything. You know what he does? He runs around and he sets these big, mean, nasty looking steel traps with all their little teeth, and he puts his little bait on the plate, and he has a little chain and he ties it or chains it to the great big tree stump, and there you go. And he goes out and he sets these all over the mountains. And then he goes back to his nice little cabin in the woods, door, window, smoke chimney, and he lets the animals go and find the trap and get hit and die of natural causes. You want to know what would stink? It's coming on a mean, nasty badger that's still alive in the trap. And then he goes and he runs all his traps. In other words, he goes to where all of them are. Now, by the way, no animal is so stupid as a rule that he can put the traps out and they're not camouflaged at all or hidden or tucked in a little crevice. And he doesn't get to just put them in the middle of a field. No, they're tucked away, they're hidden. So what does running your traps mean? Number one, where they are. And number two, how they are set. i.e., you have a trap tucked up, hidden under a boulder. By the way, what's the fear here? The fear is you want to know where they are, because on a positive end, if you're out running your traps, you'd hate to have the animal dead and you don't get the pelt. That's what you're there for. You're there for the fur. Likewise, you paid a lot of money for that trap. You really don't want to lose the stinking trap. So you've got to have it. You got to know where they are. Now here's the thing about this good old burly mountain man in his cabin. Do you think he kept a meticulous log? I guarantee he didn't have a nifty little GPS counter where he could just drop pins. He probably didn't have a great talent or skill set for drawing maps and having that down. You know what he did? He randomly knew it in his head. He knew it intuitively, instinctively, because that is who he was and how he did things. Intuitively and instinctively. And yes, I would write those down if I knew how to spell them, but I don't, so I'm just going to say them one more time. Intuitively and instinctively. They were what he saw, knew, and understood. Likewise, why do we want to know how they are set? Because what if the critter ain't in there? And you got tucked up in the bole of a tree, you got it up under the rock, you got it hidden in a little crevice, and you stick your hand in there. You really would rather not be the animal trapped. You have to know these two things. What were we always taught? Never. If you grew up a country boy at all, you were taught this. Never, ever run another man's traps. It's more dangerous than just about anything else. For one thing, even if he could draw it out for you so you had an idea where they were, that part can become dangerous. Now, that wasn't necessarily necessary to what we're talking about here. Probably confused what we're going over, but I still think knowing those side notes matters, because we're going to go to the next side of this, and the image I usually tend to prefer of a Johnny Appleseed. Oh, the Lord is good to me, and so I thank the Lord for giving me the things I need, the sun and the rain and the apple tree. The Lord is good to me. And I always like thinking little Johnny sitting there, and one of the reasons he put him is he just likes to lay down and read a book and have his little sun cap on, or his bucket, or whatever it was, his pail he wore on his head, and enjoy the beauty of the outdoors. But Johnny Appleseed, or farmer, however you want to look at it, is always planting. Always planting seeds. Always planting seeds. Now let me ask you a question. Do you think he's Johnny Appleseed because he wandered the countryside and he just randomly got seeds from people and randomly planted them and didn't know if it was poison oak or if it was an apple tree or if it was a lemon tree or if it was a kumquat bush or however the heck kumquats come? Or do you think he actually knew they were apple seeds? Do you think he probably even knew by time which seed was which type of tree? Do you think maybe, just maybe, there's a chance after the guy that made this a land of apple trees, maybe there's a small chance that maybe after a couple years, this guy could be handed a seed and could tell you not only if it was an apple seed, but if it was a specific type of apple was going to grow from that seed. I think maybe he did. And you think maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that he knew the odds of that seed growing based on the soil and the location, the climate that he planted it in? That just maybe he didn't go to an arid desert and move a rock and stick a seed under it? Do you think maybe there was a chance he knew? Now, do you think he knew that every seed he ever planted grew? That one will say, no, of course not. Do you think maybe he even planted some that he and nobody else might ever need? It might be best if it didn't ever germinate? Absolutely. Now, I don't want to get lost that Johnny Appleseed was the world sales. But part of what you do in sales, part of what you do in presentation, is know your seeds and know your soil. And always be ready. Some you know, some are going to be always. Some you are always going to plant. And some you're just going to randomly come along and go, hey, I didn't know that was going to be here. Look at that perfect soil, water, riverbed, climate for this variety of apple seed. And you go in that bag and you go ahead and plant it. You haven't planned on it. It wasn't going, it wasn't your purpose. It wasn't the area for here. But you do, because you never know. And the opportunity is there. And you plant them and you plant them and you plant them. What you're doing in sales is you're dropping little notes. You're dropping little hints. You mention a little fee. You mention a little cost. You mention early on some client that you'd had a minor headache with. You're using it to handle the credibility. It's a seed here, but it's also planting another seed over there. That when this comes up and you do this, you've already been made aware. It is always there. You're setting these in their mind for the crops you're going to grow later. This is how we educate. This is how we guide. This is how we assist. This is how we go. Know the seeds you're planting. Know the seed you're planting for the cost differential. Know the seed you're planting for when they're going to run into a headache. Know the seed. Client that I tell stories about, well, you know, how long it takes for planting. And well, you know, design can be, but sometimes, you know, some clients get back quickly. Some clients take weeks to make a decision. It's okay, whatever they do. So then when the client calls me, after they've already signed a contract, we're already months into the sales process, and they're upset over the designer. Let's go to this tree and pull this fruit down. Do you remember when I told you there's that? Oh yeah, okay. And then you go ahead, you don't just go, ha, I told you so. It's you remind them to take the heat off, and then you show them what you're going to do for them and help them through. But always be planting seeds. Always know where they're coming. Now, whether it's running traps, whether it's planting seeds, whether it's reality of another. Here's our next variation. You always plant seeds of the options of you and of the control and of the fact they could have some cost. Why? Because you have to be open to change. We discussed earlier the beauty of the logo, the power of it, the value of it. But any You Build It office with sense, in my opinion, is going to have that sign up, and they're going to push it, and they're going to market it, and it's going to be 90% of its marketing efforts, period, if not 100. Likewise, sorry about that, forgot my spelling. You can have that. Between these two, your marketing dollars, your marketing effort, they should make up 90 to 100% of your dollars and effort. Possibly, the only time I will say that would shift, and this might be 60 and down here 40, is if you're doing a spec. Because spec homes cost money, and that is part of marketing dollars. And I will not tell you at all I have any issue with it, because you can use that home to show your quality. I know, good golly, it was 8 years ago, Mike and Lee were talking about the fact that, they had their $1.2 million spec home, and the sales process was easy. Lee would take them over and show them the house and say, this is what you're buying for this price, and contracts were pretty easy to sign. We all do that. I think he got that idea from somebody else. I could be wrong, but regardless, it is a good idea. It still works. I still use it today, some as well. But you should also have a third company. You should have your general contracting company. This is never going to be as easy to market. This is. And by the way, yes, you should have also You Build It Plus and your Remodel It Plus products available as well. Project management, but a little bit cleaner than a standard project management contract. Where you place them again, brothers, I don't charge a percentage. I care less. I'm just telling you the wisdom side of it based on liability. Why do you want to have this? In a perfect world, every single client is going to fall here. There is no need. It is a freakishly rare client that cannot qualify, that will not do. You got a client that doesn't want to run it, doesn't have the time. That's what the heck the plus is for. This costs more. It has a higher insurance expense. So why do you want to have it? Number one, you may want to build a spec, and you may want to, hey, I've already got the people, I've already got the time, I've already got the skill set, I've already got the money. Why not make a little bit of a big hit here and there? Good for you, do it. Number two, there are neighborhoods that you can't get into otherwise. And more importantly, there are loans that you can't get otherwise. So you plant those little seeds, and you plant them in a positive way. Don't you worry, Mr. and Mrs. Client. Worst case scenario, we have other options to help you. Don't you worry, Mr. and Mrs. Client. We have worst case scenario. And you let this business grow a little bit. Maybe it picks up its own here and there. I had a lender was talking to me about the other day. I told him I'd do about 2 GC jobs a month. And I probably do about 5 a month that I have to use their name. I.e., I have 3 to 5 a month that it's necessary for this. And I have at least 2 a month that it's necessary for that. In 10 years and over 1,000 homes, I have I have had one true GC job that wasn't necessary for this or for that. Only one client that's like, nope, I want to do it this way. And it was an 80-something-year-old guy that had been a lender to builders his whole life, And by gum, he liked us in our marketing, he'd seen what we'd done, but he always stood behind the builders, and it was going to be done the way he'd always owned his money. In other words, that dog was way too old to be learning any new tricks. And it was cool, it was fun, it was easy, it was a great house. Loved being able to do the project. Getting lost. You plant these seeds. You set these traps early so they're there. But they may not be necessary later. You have them available and to go. By the way, those you want to ask, when is there ever a loan? Hey man, you might be in an area that's just hard to find a lender that can do it another way. And yes, there are GC loans, and then there's other GC loans. But what do you do when you have that client that qualifies for a mortgage but does not qualify for the construction loan? You convert them over. You carry the loan under your name. You do it as a straight up GC. And yes, you charge more. And yes, the price goes up another 2 to 3% for your liability insurance. And you don't get a dime of it. And it stinks. But it's better than not doing. And it's dang sure, we're running way back. Remember the little plant seed? It's dang sight better than setting a trap and not running it, and the poor daggum thing dies and rots. And the iron in the blood causes your trap to rust, and the carcass is no longer any good, and the fur that you planned it for. Beware letting things sit. Better you do it as a GC and don't even make any more money than you wait 6 months for them to fix their credit. 6 months to fix credit, the trap is rusted and the pelt is rotten. Dead serious. Time kills deals. Have the option, know how to plan them, know how to set them. Was this confusing and convoluted? Of course it was. I hope there's something you get from this. I hope more so from this, it makes you question, it makes you wonder. I really, really, really deep down hope it makes you pick up the phone and call me and say, what the heck are you talking about? Or this confused me, so we can discuss ideas and play them out and help you have new visions for where to plant your seed, new visions for where to set your traps, and new visions for how to save even more of your deals and how to sign even more of your deals. How many of you are guilty of this? Some lender somewhere so planted a seed that took root in your brain. There are contracts you don't sign. Clients that you don't even get close to signing because without knowing it, you have already prejudged them as to be undoable. I promise you, if we can uproot those weeds and throw them out of your psyche and your subconscious and make you think this way, I guarantee you, good gosh, what? One more deal a month? In some of your cases, 3 or 4? Maybe in some of your cases, just 3 a year because you only do 7 or 8 a year. I promise you, it's true, and there are deals being missed because somebody planted a seed in you that took root and created the wrong space. Let's uproot it. Let's plant a right one. And guys, I judge no one. I love you all. I just want to be able to help. And if I can't, well, you know, hey, I'm just here to serve if I can be of service. Thank you for listening. Appreciate you so very, very much. Have a great day.